it gives me a broader sense of the comic book industry outside of the mainstream. I throw in mainstream stuff in there too. I want to understand what's going on out there right now. And I think it's well worth the time to spend 45 minutes to an hour just catching up and reading on books that I've already pre-downloaded on this iPad.
What you're saying reminds me of when Guy Davis and John Arcudi were doing those BPRD books. Those are some of my favorite comics, and I would tear through a trade in 45 minutes, easily. And
because he can read, so it was just looking at the pictures.
This is the Inkpulp Podcast.
You know, one of these days I'm going to turn off that countdown so you guys don't know when it's going to go live, and it's just like, here we go.
Can you turn that off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fancy.
It just goes freaking live, and we're just on.
So Eric sent me something last night, Mattteo. I think it's a veiled message for you and I. He sent me a TikTok about how precious our time is and how we shouldn't waste it on people. And I think it's his out of the doing the show and possibly ever talking to you or I again.
Holy shit. Now you're making me sad. I don't know if I'm sad or happy about it.
I think you should be happy.
Yeah.
I think here's what I see, right? I think you two are generally two guys who are full of joy. You see the world through a filter of just like, that's not bad. You know what I mean? Whereas I am dead as a piece of charcoal inside where my heart used to be, you know?
Okay. So, now that's an opportunity for Jamie to put you in black and white when you said that. So Jamie,
no, that was actually that's as joyful as I got. That was actually happy.
By the way, this book got sensitive.
We're
in the last few days, over the last few days, because Shawn a few days ago sent me an email out of the blue, and it was just, hey, I just taking this opportunity just to thank you for being my friend, and being your friend is amazing.
Holy crap! Did you really email?
Yeah,
it's interesting to me that you fucking emailed Mattteo and you didn't email me. Yeah. You piece of shit.
Hold on a second here. I am working my way through my list of thankfulness, and you are on my list, Eric. My list began with
priority. You are less thankful for me than you are with Mattteo.
And this is after you told me last night that I am a waste of your energy.
Yeah, that's what you read into it. All right, so to give you guys context, to give our audience context on what that TikTok was about, I follow this YouTube channel, basically a guy who reads from the Book of Stoicism. Have you guys read that about? There's one here.
The Book of Stoicism?
It's a lot of teachings from Seneca.
Simple.
Right? Thanks for clearing that up, asshole.
It's about gardening. It's a book about gardening, and
it's the sequel to Mein Kampf.
Which was about gardening originally. The Mein Kampf. I don't know if you know about the history of Mein Kampf. But.
Yeah. No. Please inform me. Please do.
It was called Mine Carrots and Potatoes, and he said, "This is not going to sell. This is not
too long of a title.
Let's
make it just Kampf.
Mine Carrots and Potatoes. That is the best title ever."
Go on, Eric.
Right,
sorry.
So, this is there's a lot of there's a lot of writings by Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. Have you guys know anything?
So it's an
about
anthology, basically.
Marcus Aurelius,
terms,
yes,
in comic book terms.
In a way, but it's a lot of philosophy stuff, right? So, this guy, reads and interprets a lot of that stuff from those guys' writings, and he was talking about how there's a couple of things out. We often talk about things in a sense of like, is this worth for me to do? Right. So somebody asks you to go do something, you'll immediately attach a dollar value to it.
Yeah.
All right. So you go like, this doesn't make enough sense.
Basically, the reason why you didn't show up in New York because it wasn't worth for you. Right.
Exactly. That's in my head. Right. Yeah. But then there was also a component to it where it's like we immediately attach a dollar value to something, but we often don't think of things in time, which is a resource that is so much more significantly valuable than money, because that's the kind of stuff that we don't ever get back.
Right.
So that's what I sent to Shawn. I go like, there's some things that we'll get caught up with in our day to day where we go like, we're spending an awful lot of time in that stupid thing. And it's not really all that worth because, what are we going to do about that? It's like, that's not worth my time. I'm never going to get the time back in doing that. Right. What's the value of that outside of the monetary? And I often try to think of things in that philosophical sense. Shawn's guilt made him go like, oh, am I not worth Eric's time? And I was like, no, see, that's how you read into it.
That's not what I said at all. That's
how you read
what I
into
said.
it.
No.
All right, so I got this book.
In fact,
hold on. I got go.
Okay. I'll read the response to the text. Eric sends me that TikTok, and I said, "Are you trying to tell me that I'm a waste of your time and you can't talk to me anymore?" LOL, meaning I was being.
Oh, that's that's the thing that
yes.
you do. You basically put LOL next to anything, basically.
On fucking everything, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't have a range anymore.
I like to laugh.
He
I'm a laughable guy.
No, but you say it like that, right? And then you'll say like, oh, my grandmother passed away in a tragic car accident. LOL. And I'm like, I can't tell anymore,
Yeah, because it's automatical right now. It just does
know.
it without even knowing that he's doing it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it autofills on his phone now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like, we're just going to put LOL at the end of everything. We know you now. All right, how did you respond, Shawn? Go ahead. How did you respond?
So then you said yes. And I said, okay, got it, dumbass.
LOL.
So I obviously was.
LOL. He got really defensive.
Oh, you fuckers.
All right, so listen, I have this book called the Daily Stoic, right?
Yeah.
And the author is Ryan Holiday, but you're supposed
Isn't
to read
there,
one
sorry to
item for
interrupt,
every day.
isn't
but
there a
here's-
podcast that's the Daily Stoic as well? I don't know if it's the same guy.
There may be.
What is it?
I think it's the same guy, but if it is, it's worth listening to. But you're supposed to read one for every day and, obviously reflect and think about it. But this one was from January 1st. So this is way after the fact, but it's just as relevant right now, which says the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil, not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own? So to me, that and then there's like an analysis of what that ultimately means. But I read that analysis and it's effectively like there's so many things that we get hung up on because as humans, we have a natural tendency to get emotionally involved in something. And then we go like, I want to, and this is the key part, right? If you're not mindful, I want to have control over that thing, as opposed to saying, I want to have control over my reaction to that. Right. Those are two very distinct things that make
you
people
learn it the hard way
crazy.
when you start an important relationship, especially in a sentimental relationship. You learn that the hard way because if you want to control the other person, it's gonna be a shit show. So
Oh yeah, right.
Anyway. Well worth reading, both of you. I think I have I already have your Christmas presents in mind.
Yeah,
awesome.
that book sounds great. In fact,
Is there an Italian
morning I was
version?
thinking about that TikTok.
Probably, I suspect it won't be.
let me check.
Exclusively in English.
I'm going to translate into Italian.
Yeah.
But what you sent me got me thinking about how I can take time back and where am I expending time.
And that's something that we could talk about, right? You said something interesting to me. By the way, I've been actively trying to read more comics. Mm-hmm. And I did a whole 3, maybe as many as 4 hours. And that seems like a lot. And I guess conceptually, it's a lot, right? Like let's say I pared it because I really got on a roll. But let's say I pared it down into an hour. That's still a lot in a general sense.
An hour in one day?
An hour in one day.
Okay.
But here's something that somebody told me, and it was the first installment of, oh, please turn on iPad. It was the first installment of this book that I read. By the way, I just started into Chroma, which I'm super into. Like, I just visually, I want to read the story. I'm like, I really hope that this story.
Get it now?
Yeah, the first volume is out digitally, and that's how I've been. Actually, I bought them I bought the installments, And then for whatever reason, I go like, I thought I bought these in installments, and I ended up buying the trade paperback anyway, again, all digital. So there is this book by, do you guys know Gabriel Walta's art at all?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've been looking at a lot of his stuff,
online,
especially lately. He's one of the guys who's inspiring me now to do my book, even though we have pretty different styles from each other, but it's inspired me.
I follow him.
It inspires me a lot.
He's one of those guys, as a kid, you always hear, people who are so much more experienced than you in art, they always say something like, oh, he makes it look so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
This guy's art seems so freaking effortless.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing that really gets you, anyway, so I said, so let me go back to my original point. When I said, hey, I downloaded this first volume of a book called, Phantom Road, right? Volume 1.
Yes.
Somebody said, Eric, somebody mentioned like, you'll get through that in 10 minutes. And I jokingly said, I'm a pretty slow reader. It might take me all day. Right. But they were right. In about 10 minutes, I finished the first four, maybe 5 installments of it. Mm-hmm. And I think it has a lot to do with the way this guy's story tells. He makes
that's
it
Jeff
so,
Lemire writing it, correct?
Yeah. By the way, we'll talk about that in a second and how good the writing is.
Yeah,
but
Jeff's
just
great.
like when somebody is doing bad stuff, and you guys tell me what you guys think about this. I want to hear back from both of you. When somebody is doing quote unquote bad storytelling, I feel like it slows the whole thing down.
Absolutely.
I feel like I have to sit there and not just organically experience
and the writing department.
And the writing, right?
It's
so
valid in both ways. Yeah.
But most important, like, with Jeff Lemire, not everything that he writes, is my cup of tea. This one in specific feels really, really good. Mm-hmm. So, or reads really, really well. And then, Walter just puts in there and puts in the work, and it's so organic and it's so seamless. I got through it like that. I just finished it so quickly. And I was like, what the fuck? Why did that go so fast?
Yes.
And I realized how much work went into this book. Like there's so much drawing, so much great craftsmanship. And Jordi Belair did so much heavy lifting with him, as far as coloring and understanding tone and understanding theme, right? Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I read it and I was like, geez, I want more of this. I'm going to go back reading, but I wanted to take a break from it because I wanted to read other things. So going back to my original point, like the time that you say is valued someplace else. You have to now ask yourself, am I really getting a ton of value out of that? And if the answer is yes, obviously go on with your day. But sometimes I end up thinking to myself, like, can I take an extra, 20 minutes, 30 minutes today and not nap and just freaking read this book, or read a set of books that maybe will be good, maybe will not be good. But at the very least, it gives me a broader sense of the comic book industry outside of the mainstream. I throw in mainstream stuff in there too. Mm-hmm. But like, I want to understand what's going on out there right now. And I think it's well worth the time to spend 45 minutes to an hour just catching up and reading on books that I've already pre-downloaded on this iPad and I've yet to get a chance to read. So
what you're saying reminds me of when Guy Davis and John Arcudi were doing those BPRD books. Those are some of my favorite comics, and I would tear through a trade in 45 minutes, easily. And
because he can read, so it was just looking at the pictures.
There's no dialogue.
Yeah. You got the black and white JPEGs with no bubbles,
Yeah, sorry.
So I'm going to take the time to actually. I'm going to end up reading this thing, and it's been out for a while apparently, but there is this thing called Lucky Luke, right? And apparently it's been out since forever, but this is the first time I'd ever seen it with this particular artist. It's an old thing like
the cowboy
like Asterisk guy, and Tintin.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time I'm reading it, and I put it up online on social media, and I said, hey, this is my next thing that's reading. And they're like, dude, it would be great. The entire series is amazing. You don't have to read all of it, but it'd be well worth your time to go back and read. And I was like, there's a fucking series. And this is how out of touch I am, right? They're like, yeah, that's kind of been around since a while now. That's like saying, That's like saying it's Tintin. It's asterisk. You know, it's like it's like
Zagar,
Zagor.
I'm not familiar.
Zagor.
Yeah.
It's an Italian.
So I'm going to read this next. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, there's only one installment of Dylan Dog." And you're like, "You're stupid, right? You're out of touch."
Exactly. Yeah.
I would say that you're stupid anyway.
There's another.
Regardless, but yeah,
independent of that, but even more stupid.
I enjoy just telling you.
I think you thought. So I started after I did like about 4 hours worth of reading. Like I thought, like, man, I should have conversations with the guys about like taking time out of our day. It doesn't have to be all at the same day. Of like, hey, read comics, because I think when I was coming up and I was heavy into superheroes and mainstream, right? But it'd be great to hear your guys' experience with something, to be like, I've never read that book before. Dude, you got to take a chance. I remember when Mattteo first brought up Chroma, right? And you were like, you got to take a look at this book. And I was like, that's awesome. Clearly I'm bought in when it comes to the art. Right. What I don't know is like whether or not the story holds up. And that's the heartbreaking part, right? You're like, dude, the artwork is amazing. But the story doesn't really carry all that well, and the artwork is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the story. What you were talking about, Mattteo, earlier, where it's like, sometimes a story is hard to get through, man, regardless of how pretty it is.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I've been wanting to, read way more comics than I do. And sometimes I end up just buying stuff because it looks good. And then I end up, not reading it. And it fucking sucks. I would love to, do what you just did. Just take some time, just invest in brain and inspiration and whatever you want to call it, and invest some of my time to just get inspired, just read something good that, puts you in a good mood, or gives you hope for, your next project, or inspires you to do, to add something to the story that you were already working on, stuff like that. But I don't know. Like whenever I finish working, all I want to do is, just something else, not related to work. So let me talk about that really quick. And it's two parts. One, I'm still holding on to, and by the way, I'm not begrudgingly holding on to it. I'm not like pissed off about it. It's actually pretty profound. You were like, Eric, people don't really know you as a comic book guy. You've never really done a run. You've never really done, I was like, fuck man, Matteo's right. And I just started unpacking that whole statement to be like, not only am I not known as a comic book guy, but I don't really invest any time. Let me rephrase that just
doing
for
comics,
clarity reason. You are a comic book guy, but you're more of an outsider, meaning that you deal with comic books, comic book related stuff, but more from a different position. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I get it. That's how I
think
interpret
that's what
it.
you said last time. I think that's exactly what you said last time.
Eric is dumb, and it takes a few times.
It is, like I said, I unpacked that whole conversation. And I thought, like, not only am I absolutely what Mattteo just said, but also like I don't take the time to really, read what's out there outside of the mainstream, and I'm only doing it almost in the same way that somebody gets high because they're in the same room as somebody who's getting high. I only get it because through contact, not necessarily because I'm doing it on purpose, So like I said, okay, I'm going to change that. And this goes to what you're saying right now, Mattteo. And I believe in it 100%. I don't think that you're wrong, which is like, dude, the last thing I want to do, or like the last thing on my mind is after I do like all this drawing, is to actually go and invest in comics. And I thought about that. That's the same exact attitude that I have, so I can relate. I also see it as, I think it's a habit that I've formed, which is to say, similar to before, I'd be like, you know what, whatever quitting time is for me for work, the last thing I want to do is go into the gym and exert even another kind of energy, I just want to, but what I'd realized after I actually changed that habit is I got more out of it than what I thought I'd be gaining by not doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying it now. I haven't proved it out yet. It could be that fucking 3 months from now, I'd be like, Jesus, this is so taxing and so exhausting. But the thing that's reinvigorating to me, I'd come to find the stuff that's taxing is all the dramatic stuff that's I'm getting through that contact high. Everybody is talking about all the shitty things, and those shitty things naturally get algorithmically brought up to the top. Right? You're paying attention to about this bad storyline or this bad writer or the way this person conducts themselves and blah, blah, and so on and so forth. But if you really get past that part, that's the exhausting part. You really get past that part and you go into like, well, they can't all be shit. Right?
Right.
That takes a little bit of work, but once you get there, it just rolls because again, similar to algorithm that continues to pump bad shit into and in front of your face. As soon as you roll into the good stuff, the algorithm does the same exact thing, right? Which is like start pumping all the good stuff in front of your face. Here's an example. When I downloaded this book called Rare Flavors, I don't know if you've heard about it at all. It's by you guys know Felipe Andare, right?
Oh,
Andrade, yeah.
You know Felipe's work.
I think
Andrade,
that for a minute or
Andrade,
two, he was in our team with Jason as well.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at a show. I saw him
he
set
did a
up
couple of
in one
shows
the-
with us.
in one of our lineup.
Then I don't know what happened,
Oh, I didn't
but
know that.
yeah. I don't think
He's
you
with
were
Felix.
in the group yet, Shawn.
Oh, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he saw Mattteo and he was like, one too many. I got to get out of here.
He heard that I was coming on. He's like, I'm out. I'm out.
So there's this book called Rare Flavors, and it's by Ramvi, who I don't know if you guys know his writing at all. Freaking amazing.
I know his name, but I've heard he's great.
Really, really
I think
good.
he's-
You know, I think it's called a Distant Shores. I've got to get back into it. I have it in my library here. I'm going to get back into it. But this one in specific, 2 issues are out so far. And as soon as I downloaded this, it's like, oh, thank you. So, as soon as I bought it, it says, thank you so much. You might be interested in these titles as well. And that's how you train the algorithm, to be like, these are the kinds of books that I'm interested in. Right. And it just starts putting more, some of it you may not like. Most of it probably you'll leave alone. But once in a while, you'll run into one where you're like, well, I want to read that. And again, that's just part of the training, not just for the algorithm, but obviously for your particular taste. This was exciting to read. I loved reading this thing. And it's only 2 issues, which sucks. I got to tell myself, I don't know. I'm of 2 minds now where I'm like, I really want to read it because, it's exciting to look at, or do I want to wait until like similar to the previous book where I want to wait until at least 4 issues are out because it feels more substantial to read,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I got there's another one that I by where the artist was Felipe Andrade, which was I might butcher the title, but it was like The Many Deaths of Lila Starr or something like it.
Yeah.
Which I think it won
That's it.
prizes or something. Like it was people were talking about it, and how was that? Shawn?
Yeah, I have that.
Do you
book.
like it?
I haven't read it yet. It's in my pile, but yeah, I got it because the art is gorgeous, but I heard it was a great read, so I got it.
And then there's another one.
I think it's time to stop talking about.
It's called Step by Bloody Step. I only remember the name of the artist, dude. Matthias Bergara, who's amazing. It's incredible. And I'm sorry for not remembering the name of the writer. Let me check. Let me check because I wanna.
So the many deaths thing is what the hell? Why is it not loading for me?
Many Deaths of
That's
Lila
by
Starr.
Cy Spurrier, Mattteo.
Cy Spurrier, yeah.
Spurrier wrote stuff.
British gentleman.
That's a good book.
Really, really cool guy. I think so. Like I've heard good things about it, and I saw a preview of it, something like that. It was. I thought it was really good stuff. I don't know about the story, but it's been a successful book so far, from what I know. So should be good.
Well, I think,
and then there was another one, another book that I started years ago, and then I lost track of it. And I don't remember exactly the name. I think it was the writer was Jason Aaron, and artist was Jason Latour, was Something Bastards.
Oh, Southern Bastards.
Southern Bastards.
Yeah.
Is it over
Yeah.
that series?
that.
It's a okay.
No, they never got to finish it because of all the shit that went down.
Okay.
with Latour.
Okay. All right.
They kind of their
But
friendship.
I thought it was really interesting when I read it. I read the first trade, and I liked the ending of it, and then with the daughter and everything, the new story arc, how it was supposed to begin. So I'm really curious to read that as well. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna order this like 4 or 5 books, and
That's
potentially some others if you have ideas. And I want to.
Everyone you just listed, I put in my Amazon box as we were talking.
It's not. Here's what may I suggest, or may I suggest a level of call to action. It's easy enough for us to click those books, and download them. By the way, they just shut down Comixology, which to me, people are complaining about it. Yeah. Finally, right? They shut it down finally, or at least they're going to in early December. And people were complaining, well, rip Comixology. Ever since Amazon bought them out, they've never had a level of functionality that we really miss. Blah 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 in the Kindle app. But I use the Kindle exclusively. I don't ever remember using Comixology in any level of consistency. But I don't know what people are seeing. I read through the Kindle app and it seems okay, but I'm talking through a dumb place. It's almost like I've eaten dirt all my life and these people have eaten really, really good food and I don't know the difference. So maybe there's really a huge difference. But if I've downloaded it on Kindle, it reads just fine. So here's what I'm asking you guys.
Sorry to interrupt, but if I want to read this book digitally, what do I have to do? Do I buy them through Amazon?
Yeah, just go to the Kindle app,
directly from that app, from Kindle.
Well, you can go to Amazon. No. When I just put the books in my
Shawn,
cart.
Before he gets confused, right? You can launch the Kindle app, but you cannot buy. That's the stupid design. You cannot buy these books directly from the app. You have to go into Amazon first.
Okay.
Find the books there and look for it specifically that as it's available on Kindle. Buy it there, and then it sends it to your Kindle account.
Okay.
Yeah. That's so.
Is there any other app
the books that you
comics?
Just mentioned?
It was Comixology before Amazon bought them out and rolled them into their Kindle.
Okay. So
Kindle
Comixology was a whole thing, apart. It was a. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys, so I don't enjoy reading comics digitally. I tried for a while and I feel I don't enjoy the experience.
Well, first, hold on. Before we get to any and all of that, it's easy. The point that I was trying to make was that it's easy enough for us to buy it either traditionally, the actual physical copies, or digitally. Whatever your preferences are, it's easy enough for us to buy. I really encourage you guys to sit down and read it. Right? Because the nature of our job is we'll always find something better else to do and it'll just sit there somewhere. Right? Moving forward, I really hope that we can make an effort to say we've actually read this thing. We took 10 minutes out because I'm telling you, all of Jeff Lemire's book and Gabriel Walter's book, 4 issues I got through, and I'm a slow reader. I got through it in 15 minutes, and it's only because I'm sitting there admiring the art. Right? I'm sitting there looking at the panel going geez Louise, man, that is such a simple technique. And I never thought to do that. But if you just sit down and read it through and through, it'll probably go even faster.
Well,
right, let's get to your point. Read the books is what I'm getting at. Read them. Don't just buy them.
I recommend, because I did read some of the Black Hammer series that Lemire wrote. And did Walter draw that too? I think he did. But those, I think he did. For someone who has no interest in JLA, because this is basically Jeff Lemire's love letter to JLA, even though it's not JLA, I found it an incredible read. Really smart, really interesting, and really fun. Yeah. So I'd recommend that too.
But you actually read it this time.
Yeah, I got a cover gig and I actually took the time to read the miniseries. and I couldn't stop. I was so into it.
Yeah, this is a book called it's Cy Spurrier and is it Matthias Bergara?
Matthias
Step by
Vergara.
Bloody Step. Holy crap! Oh my gosh! I didn't realize as easy it is to focus on like, oh my gosh, this book doesn't look very good. Or this book reads like crap. There's so many other books out there that better represent this industry that we're sometimes often, catch ourselves complaining about. There's so many better representatives of what this industry can be than all the stuff that people are complaining about. So I'm like, I'm not going to spend any more time.
Now a lot of really great artists
bullshit,
and writers are working with image, so you can see their actual what they really want to do instead of maybe what they were kind of forced to do, or there's always a few other ends here and there intervening in their work. So here is just
for sure
like their purest intentions. So
totally,
it's I think it's a good time for reading new cool comic books.
Yeah, it's effectively me pleading with you guys, read the books that you have. So we have more stuff to talk about. You can say, hey, next week, Eric, go buy X because it's going to be well worth your time.
Okay.
I think we're all nodding all at the same time about these books that we've seen or heard about. And rather than having heard or seen about it, let's actually read it because it's going to go a long way. I saw the page that you uploaded or that you shared with us, Maddie, and I'm freaking excited, man.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Are
man.
you going to do it in, here's an interesting question. I was like looking at it and it's a very well, you've mentioned it already, but it's a personal story for you. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be in Italian?
Really?
Well,
I
guess be
guess
printed in Italian first.
No. I'll start with a US English publication, and then and then I'll try to sell it everywhere else, and so yeah. But the funny thing is that I'm writing it in Italian, and I don't know if I told you already.
Yeah.
If I did, I apologize. But it's weird how I'm having a hard time writing properly in Italian. Like some concepts and some stuff, they're clunky because most of my day now I read emails in English. Then as I'm working, I'm listening to podcasts in English, and during the evening I watch TV shows and movies in English. So like I haven't been training like my Italian for a while, and sometimes like I have for the dialogues for my book, I have some sentences in my head, but they're in English. So sometimes they work in English because I have a specific sentence that it sounds cool in English, but in Italian, I have to, translate it in my head and it doesn't come out, properly. So it was funny because I wanted an opinion from a friend of mine. So I sent him the dialogues and he was like, you were thinking in English as you were writing it, right? I was like, yeah. Well, I can tell. Like the way the phrases are structured, I could tell that you were just here and there, not everywhere. But sometimes there's some stuff that you were clearly thinking in English about the specific sentence.
That's fascinating. That is so cool, dude. That's pretty freaking cool.
It's cool if I'm planning on living in the States, but I'm not like I'm still planning on living in Italy. So I don't want to fucking become a stupid illiterate by in 5-10 years. So but what I'm gonna do just to make sure, like if the book comes out in Italy in Italian, I don't think I'm gonna use my script. Like my dialogues. I think I'm going to have a translator translating the English version to Italian. Yeah. And I'm not going to even translate from Italian to English. So I'm going to use translators all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the term
English
for that dialogues.
Yeah, and that term for that is like localization, right? Which not just takes into account the translation, like putting into like Google Translate, but understanding it colloquially. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
that's not how we would say that in Italian. You know, even in the United States, that's not how we would say it in New York versus I would say it in California. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah. I have a short dialogue, like a 2 or 3 pages dialogue between two old people right at the beginning of the book. They're talking through the phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, my idea is that these two old people used to, to know each other in the late 50s, 60s. So the idea is to have these old people talking in their kind of, old time slang, So in Italian, I can give you a sort of idea of that, but I wouldn't have a clue of how to do it, in English. So for sure, at least for that, I would need a translator just for that. But it's been fun.
Do you recognize Shawn? He said like guys in their 50s, and I'm like, fuck, man. Mattteo thinks I'm old. Like these old guys in their 50s.
No one in their 50s. Like, they used to know each other. Sorry, I phrased it wrongly. They were friends in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, okay. I thought like these guys are in their 50s. I'm like, these old guys in their 50s. I'm like, fuck you, Mattteo.
No, it's Eric. It's me and you. We're in the book.
They're in their 70s or so in the story, but they're they were cool back in the day. So they, I wanted to use their kind of lingo, and but I'm happy that I'm back to my book. I had to take a short hiatus just to work.
Congrats.
Guess on what covers, and so now I'm back on it, and it's fun. I'm almost done with the first issue.
We went 30 something minutes without him mentioning that he's worked on a bunch of covers, dude.
Well, that's nice. 30 minutes.
Fucking amazing.
There's been a lot of chances in which I wanted to intervene. I was like, for example, this is what happened to me, So this guy wanted to give me $1 million just for a sketch. But I said no because, it's not a good investment for you because of blah, blah, blah. Right. So talking about investments and time and stuff.
Well, I recall the, what do you call it? I recall the McFarlane conversation. And as soon as McFarlane said, I used to play baseball, I was just like 3, 2, 1.
Well, I was an extra 2 seconds. I was watching delayed. So 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. And go.
And I could as soon as he said it, Matteo's like bouncing in his seat.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh my god, Mattteo just got a jolt of sugar because he's got something to say about this baseball thing." It's fucking hilarious. By the way, I'm looking forward for that episode to come out. In my opinion, we could have just let Todd go. We could have just like, hey, we have 2 hours to kill. Just talk for 2 hours about how to inspire a bunch of people on our sort of like wavelength,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And man, we could have just let that guy go. That was amazing. I can't wait for that episode to come out.
I can't wait either. That'll be Jan 1.
Yeah, January 1.
Is this it comes out the first of the year?
Yeah.
January 1.
Whoa, what a great way to start off a year, right?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. All right, me and Matteo's been doing a lot of talking, Shawn. What are you doing? You're doing a lot of nodding.
He was jerking off.
And a lot of like early episode, early episode insults.
I'm just sitting here thinking, LOL. That's all.
That's freaking on brand.
Oh, by the way, Shawn, you forgot to tell me your story with the 5 years old kid. And now
yes, this is perfect. Okay, I got flipped off by a 5-year-old. So this was a whole day of just shit going weird. But I was coming home. Well, actually, I'll tell you the whole day. You think I'm
holy
quiet?
Fuck? Do you have 2 hours?
Yeah. Well, what happened was
before you start, and I'm gonna throw Mattteo under the bus. Before we got online with Todd, right, and before you came on, Shawn, because I think you were delayed that day. we were talking about like how the last week, it was just you and Mattteo the week previous. And how did last week go, And Mattteo, I think in so many words, was like, Shawn would just not freaking shut up about this day.
No, that was about Nashville. I was telling him all of Nashville.
It's
like
all
you
the meals in
told him
Nashville.
every
like
fucking
every
detail.
single breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The way
that Mattteo was explaining it to me, like he was telling it to me in the short version, right?
Yeah.
And my eyes were rolling into my skull. I can't imagine what it was like for Matty to sit there for an hour and 20 minutes. And the editing, look, listen, if Jamie can edit that thing into a manageable, entertaining episode, Jamie needs a raise. Because if I understand it from Mattteo, that was like dry as freaking sand.
No. It wasn't dry, to be honest with you.
Mattteo.
No, it wasn't dry. It's that I was like, we were going overtime by like 20 minutes and I had to go. So long. I was, as he was telling the story, I was texting him with the cell phone like, hey, dude, I gotta go. We gotta wrap it up. And he would say, hey, damn, for breakfast, I think it was the Sunday. No, this was the Saturday. And I was like, I was hoping for the Sunday at least. And it was Saturday. And I was like, dude, I gotta go. Dude, I gotta go.
Hold on. Why did you feel the need to text? Was it because you were just being polite? Hey, I'm going to text you.
Yeah, I didn't want to say live, hey, dude, just stop with the story because I gotta go, So I didn't want to be brutal.
To be fair, I didn't see the text, but after Mattteo sent the text, I ended like 2 minutes after he had sent the text. So we were done. So by the time I saw the text, we were over, and it was like 5 minutes had passed.
By the way, we'll have Jamie for that episode edit so that when Shawn starts talking. So, Tennessee. Even on a higher pitch than his usual pitch, which is already annoying.
Yeah, it'll be a 3-minute episode by the time Jamie gets through with it, man. It'll be a 3-minute episode.
You.
Also, don't. I mean, I know you're trying to be kind, and you're not like. Just tell him, "Hey, Shawn, shut up. We're over time.
Up.
Let's go."
No, that's too much.
There it is.
That's too much.
That's too much.
That's the line.
That is so. There are times when you drop that stuff. It's so disproportionate to what's happening. You know what I mean?
You know what it is? Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's so funny to me because okay, here's the thing. It's so funny to me because in Italy, being as in Europe, and especially because we were allied with the Nazis during World War II. To us,
I was going to make a joke that's where you were going.
Yeah,
and you are.
No. I'll tell you. This is real. It's a cultural thing.
Okay.
Like even just say.
Go ahead.
To say Jew, the word, it's almost like sounds like the N word. Even if you just say it, because it's a kind of taboo word in Italy because of the Holocaust and all the stuff. Whilst in the States, you didn't do anything wrong to them, so you don't carry probably that guilt behind the word. So it was so amazing to see how much you're free to do jokes about Jewish people, and it's fine. It's not like making jokes about black people. That's more risky in the States because slavery, right? So in Italy, like basically, it's the opposite way. You're more free to make racial jokes about black people because we didn't have slavery. But since we had that other original scene of the whole Nazi thing and stuff like that, the fascism and stuff, we have it's harder to make jokes about that, and it's kind of liberating because when I'm with people from the States, I can say it. Plus Shawn is one and Jason is another one, so I'm fine as long as they allow me to.
You just said Shawn is one. Those people.
Holy shit.
One of those.
This is racism, multicultural racism.
Shawn is a J word, and
He's like,
Jason is a J word.
Listen, I just love the fact that he's like, it's kind of liberating that I lean into that word that's historically taboo for my
again,
culture.
like
But yeah.
if I would say it in Italian, already just saying the word, it would sound already like, oh, what is this guy gonna talk about? You know, it's already woo. You can still you can already feel the chill down your spine because it's already really delicate argument.
You're saying it in English, and I can hear that you want to put Shawn in a camp again, you know?
Right now, all of Naples is listening to it. Yeah, that Matteo is worse than we thought. He hates Naples,
all right.
and he hates Jews.
Before we completely get demonetized, I know we will be, but before
it was after the first 10 minutes. That's the riskier part in the podcast, so we're fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna drop the N-word in a couple of minutes, I think.
I also think like, well, how much can we really lose? We're making like $1.50 for one of these things. You know what I mean? At most,
exactly
per month. You know. Go ahead, Shawn. What was the thing that you were trying to get at?
All right, so I'm driving Zach to
Somebody's
therapy.
gonna fucking clip that thing where he's like, it's kind of liberating to say the J word. You know.
All right.
There's so many good pieces in there, dude. It's like the original sin of having, you know, like slavery. He just buzzed himself with the word slavery.
Yeah, like Jeopardy.
I was like, oh my God.
What is slavery? All right, go on, Shawn. Sorry
Go
for
ahead,
this,
man.
this
What are you
really
saying?
long
It's okay. I'm not going to
interruption.
do the whole day. That's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to do the whole day. Just know going into this little story, I'd already had a day. Zoe and I are coming home from the gym.
Okay.
That's what it was. And I pull into my street, and there's kids on bikes and one kid on a little scooter. And everyone kind of moves over to the side because there's a car coming, except the kid on the scooter. He stays on the scooter right in front of me. So I'm going like 2 miles an hour, and it's like, okay, kid, move. He's not moving. So I tap my horn a little bit, and he pulls over, and he gets onto the curb, and he turns around. This kid's 5, and he flips me off.
Yo.
Yeah, he totally gave me the finger. So I stop the car, and I
ran
get
him
out of
over.
the driver's seat. I beat his ass.
Right on.
No. No. So I
fucked
got
his
out of
ass.
the car.
We got all the jokes for this episode, like racial, religious, and pedophilia. Yeah.
So I got out of the car. The kid looks at me. He just his whole body language sinks. He's terrified now. So I said, "Do you have something you want to say to me?" And he just looks at the ground and goes, "I'm sorry." I was like, "Look, man, there's cars coming. Like it's dangerous to stay in the road. Just get over to the side from now on."
Yeah.
But when you left,
when I
you
hear
didn't
something
hear
like
it,
that,
but he was like, sorry, Jew.
Yeah. It's Matteo's son. You know what I mean? He's Matteo's trainer.
What were you going to say?
I always pointed that stuff and I go like that, you know, what are you saying? He's 5'6"? If you had to guess?
Yeah, 5 or 6. Very young.
Yeah.
I was
like,
shocked.
I go like,
shocked.
who's training that kid? I'm like, I want to go to their parents, you know?
That's exactly.
And, you know, so can I tell you a similar story that makes me laugh about this? Okay. So my son and I are hanging out and he sees something on TV or he's playing with a toy and then he goes, what in the hell? So he says, what in the hell? Right. And I'm like, yo, what the, don't say that.
You said,
know?
what in the hell?
Yeah. And I go, what the hell? What are you saying? What in the hell
are you
for,
saying?
You know? Man, what the fuck did you just say? You
told
stupid,
you,
what in the
told
hell?
you to that word.
All right. So I said, like, what do
your
you, where'd you
stupid
get
mom
that
that
from?
told you
Oh,
that
sorry,
word?
Dad. So he goes, I'm sorry, Dad. And he keeps saying he's not doing it on purpose, but he actually said it one more time. Like, knock it off, right? That's not something you say, right? Stop that. I don't know where you got that from, but don't. So I became mindful. I go, do I ever say that in front of him? And I said it to my wife. I said like, hey, we heard, I heard him say, what in the hell? And he goes, oh, she goes like, oh my gosh, where'd you think you should get that from? Right. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't ever say that term ever, Fast forward like 2 weeks later, my wife comes into the room and goes like, this lady cuts me off while I was driving our kid to school. And I said like, what in the hell? Like she caught herself saying it. And I'm like, oh,
that's why.
Eric was like, it wasn't me. Yes.
Yeah.
but can I ask you something?
The thing is, so here's the thing. When I brought it up to her for the first time, I know she was thinking it was you.
Of
you
course.
did it.
That's why I said that. Yeah.
She didn't say it. She didn't say it in so many words. She's like, where did she get that from? He can't say things like that. Kids in school hear it. His teacher will get mad. But between the lines, I can almost hear her say, it's your fault. He listens to everything that you do. Yeah, you're the one that says F word all the time, in front. Like, but then when she said it, and she didn't have to, but she fessed up for it. And I was like,
can I ask you guys something?
From ear to ear.
So, is like hell considered to be like a bad word? Like it's vulgar? Is a swear word?
It just depends on your value system. I'd say like more religious people are very like, that's a no-no.
Sensitive to it.
Yeah. And like more like we're not a religious family. So like hell was never that big a deal in my house, but I know houses where it was.
That's a fucking clip like that too. That's a fucking clip right there.
But it's considered really like if you hear a kid saying it's not good. It's not good, right?
It's risque. It's a little risque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like hearing a kid say "bitch" for the first time, and you're like, "Yo, that's disproportionate for your age."
Like hell,
I might be
more or less at the same level as "bitch." No, right?
It's not. It's not. It's like, it's not the, what do you call it? It's not necessarily the word. It's like, why are you saying that at your age at all?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's not it's not even the word itself. You're like,
it's your entry level bad word. It's probably the first one a kid will say.
I'm asking you because I still remember something that happened like years ago. And I remember I had I was doing shows in the States, and I had prepared, back then I was working on Deadpool, and I had prepared just a few pinups, Deadpool pinups, random, just in case, people would see it at shows and buy it. And so it was unpublished work. And one of them was Deadpool dressed up as a kind of Viking/warrior. And he was doing like the horns with his hand. Mm-hmm. And I added, just for fun, a balloon saying hell yeah. All right. And I remember hell yeah.
Wait, what did it say? Hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I remember this lady that came to my table, and she was like, okay, so my son, he really likes Deadpool. So I see that, and I have had a Deadpool banner back then. So it was like, are you an artist on Deadpool? I was like, yeah. If you want, I pre-made some. I have some Deadpool pinups and stuff here that you can, because he wanted to buy a piece of mine for his son. And then I was like, this one, I just did it. So if you want this one, it came out pretty cool, I think. So it could be nice. She was like, well, yeah, but he's really young, and the word and stuff. And I was like, it's just hell, which is not a curse word. It's just a place, whether you believe in it or
it's
not.
Just a place.
And yeah, which is yes, was so I couldn't, and that stuck with me, and I thought, that's weird, because in Italy it wouldn't be considered to be a cuss word, and maybe it would be strange though if a kid would say it. I would be like, pretty unusual. with choice of words. But
she was they were probably a little more conservative. That's probably what it was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think to each family, it's going to be different. It was just weird for me to hear it from him because I don't ever say it, like I don't, it's not part of my vernacular to sit there and use that term. So I'm like, what, where'd you get that from? Don't do it. I mean, I remember when my mother heard me say fuck for the first time.
I remember,
and I could literally
say it for the first time.
I could see my mom calculate my age. She was like, hey, and then she's like, 16, 17. All right. Yeah. All right, fine. You know what I mean? She's like, it's not that she liked it, but at some point she was like, well, what are you going to do? It's that age, I never, but out of courtesy to my mother, out of respect to the household, I would never say it. And I tried not to say it in front of her, but I think in that moment, it just caught her by surprise that I was able to drop an F-bomb,
So Zoe said the F-bomb at 5, but it was
5.
Well, Steph went into her room to try to get her ready for bed, and she stepped on a Lego, and Steph went, fuck! And so Zoe runs into I'm in my bed. Zoe runs into my room. She goes, Dad, Mom said fuck.
And if I remember correctly, Shawn, Zach said his first N-word when he was 3, right?
I mean, it's a little late. It's a little late. He was a late bloomer.
Yeah, he said his first J word when he was 2.5, though. So,
but by the way, like Francesca, we're being really careful with words with Aaliyah because now he's been starting to talk for a few months now. So he's now he talks basically, and Francesca is really careful. But I don't know why when it comes to shit, I don't know if he pooped in his diaper. A lot of times she drops oh, that's a big shit. She forgets to call it poop. And she's like, oh, that's a big shit, And every time I'm like, Mom. Oh, sorry, poop. I don't know why. The other day, I was just smoking a cigarette outside, and I could hear her. She was in the kitchen, washing dishes. Of course, because she's a woman, right? Am I right, guys?
There it is. We'll talk to you guys later. We gotta go.
Matteo's he is scorched earth today.
Listen to me. I heard him say dishes, and if he had a television screen on his fucking forehead, I'm like, he's gonna do this joke.
Listen,
he's gonna do this joke.
I'm the one.
Right now.
I'm the guy who does the cooking in the house. So this is the agreement, and she washes dishes after. But plus, we got a dishwasher. So she just puts stuff in the dishwasher. It's not that big of a deal. All right, so I was outside smoking.
Also, she's a woman, so that's her job. That's what you're saying. I heard you say.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
So I'm smoking a cigarette, and I hear her talking to our son because he was in the living room and he moved to the kitchen just to show her something, And she was like, "Oh, hey, Leo, what you doing? What is this? Fuck! This is shit! It's shit! You're full of shit! Basically, he put his hands in his diaper, and then he started walking around the house with his hands completely covered in shit. And by the way, when she went to Francesca, she touched her hair. So she was like, what is shit on my hair? The fuck? It's shit. You have shit on your hands and shit everywhere on your t-shirt. What the fuck? It's shit. And it was like, I wanted to say, hey, Mom, it's just poop. But the moment was so intense that I could okay, it's just shit. It's too much for you right now
Now,
to
Matteo,
with, so.
Let's be honest. You stayed outside and smoked an extra cigarette because you did not want to go in and deal with it, correct?
I finished the cigarette. And then I went there really slowly. And it's like, what's the big deal? What happened, darling? But it was funny. But yeah. Speaking of weird stuff with kids and and how sometimes young kids surprise us because they're doing something weird. There's a thing going on in Parma, in my hometown. lately in this last like few years, I guess. And sometimes it makes the news because we have this crew like of young people, and sometimes they go around like beating up random people. Like they use like
What?
2 of them as bait with, they select a couple of people that they want to beat up, and they go there and provoke people. And a bunch of friends of mine, they ended up in this situation. They just started provoking you in a way that you can't basically ignore. They're just in your face. And as soon as you touch one of them, like another 10 or 15 of them, they just come out from everywhere, with some of the times with actual like weapon, like not knives and stuff, not stuff that can kill you, but just
like bats.
Yeah, bats and stuff like that. And they beat you up like so fast that you cannot even realize what's going on. And it's like in a split second, they're gone, basically. So you cannot, identify them.
Well, and even if you never heard of that before. Like that's happening in your town?
Yeah. It's not something that happens every time. There's periods of the year in which it happens, and it happened to my friends a few years ago. It's fucking crazy. It's scary to see, young people doing this kind of shit. And there was another thing that they used to do a few years ago, which it was just they would walk, and then randomly they would. That's a game that they would play. It's like a game of dare. Is that what you do?
Yeah,
in the States? Like
there?
Yeah. So they would just one of them, they would just turn and punch the first person behind them. Whether it's
that was going on.
People or old people, women, whatever is there,
That was going on around the world. I remember that was a thing, and
Is that still happening? Shawn, are you still doing that?
I'm still doing it, but my swing isn't as strong as it used to be.
No, hold on a second. I remember Mattteo saying young people. I don't know if you qualify anymore, old man.
No, I definitely don't.
You're just doing it now so you can qualify. You know what I mean? You're just like kids do this, I guess. That's what I'll do. All right, listen, before we get any more demonetized, it's an hour in.
All right.
Jesus Christ. I don't know how much editing Jamie is going to have to freaking do because Mattteo
I
was
will
on just like
title this episode "The Guide to Get Cancelled." The guy on how to get canceled, right?
Would you like to
the
get
many
canceled?
cancellations of Matteo Scalera.
Fast forward to
and
minute
you're gonna be
40 something where
asking
Mattteo just
Jamie
opens
to
it.
erase your tracks, and it's gonna be just my track, just me
Just you.
saying stupid shit.
Yeah. All right, that's it. I got to get out of here. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.